My beloved child, perhaps you will be surprised when you realize that, on the day you no longer hold tightly to the old things, the sky does not collapse as you once feared. You thought that if you let go, everything would fall apart, that if you did not defend yourself, you would be wounded, that if you did not keep the familiar roles, there would be nothing left for others to recognize. But my child, there are things you have held not because they belong to you, but because in a season of weakness, you mistook them for shelter. There are relationships you clung to not because they nourished you, but because you feared the emptiness that would come after leaving them. There are habits you called your nature, but in truth, they were only the old garment of fear. When I begin to remove those things from your life, you may feel empty at first, but that is not the loss of your true self. It is the spaciousness I am opening, so you may breathe with a healthier rhythm of life. There will be things that leave you, and do not be too quick to call every departure a disaster. Some voices will no longer have the right to control your mind as they once did. Some relationships will change their place, their distance, and their way of being present in your life. Some rhythms of life that once made you feel safe will no longer fit your new steps. That does not mean you are losing yourself. On the contrary, many times you are only losing the shells that clung to you during the time when you did not yet know you were called by me with a name of love. You once lived as though your worth lay in being needed, praised, kept in a role, or pleasing others. But I did not create you to become a mirror reflecting everyone's expectations. I created you to live from the identity that has been placed in my love, an identity that does not fade when others change their minds, does not diminish when a door closes, and does not tremble when you stop chasing the old ways of saving yourself. Do not think that returning to yourself will happen like a strong wind passing through and making everything instantly clear. I often restore you through small steps, humble choices, and each time you stand before an old path but do not enter it, every time you want to react out of habit but pause to ask what is true, you are returning. Every time you want to put on the old garment simply because it is familiar, but choose to stand still in the truth even while trembling, you are returning. Every time you want to prove that you are not weak, but instead place your weariness before me, you are returning. Every time you want to please everyone, so you will not be left behind, but choose the integrity I have placed within you, you are returning. Those choices may be so small that no one notices them, but in the hidden depths, they are changing the direction of your life. I see every small refusal of fear, every no you speak to what once bound you, and every yes you offer to the light. At times you will feel as though you are peeling away layer after layer without knowing whether the new garment has been placed on you yet. You may ask me, if I am no longer the one who always tries, no longer the one who always endures, no longer the one who must please everyone, then who am I? And I will answer you, not with noise, but with steadfast nearness. You are my child before you are any other role. Before you did anything significant, you were loved. Before you stood firmly, I lifted you. Before you understood the path, I knew your name. What you do may change with the seasons. The people around you may come and go. Your responsibilities may grow larger or smaller, but your identity in me is not swept away by the current of life. When you know this, you no longer have to add many things to yourself in order to feel enough. You only need to release what is not true, and the fullness I have placed in you will begin to appear. Remember Gideon, the one who once saw himself through the eyes of fear and smallness. He hid in a secret place, doing his work with a heart overshadowed by threat, thinking there was nothing remarkable in him to be called. But I did not see him according to the circumstances in which he stood, nor according to the way he judged himself. I called him by what I saw in him before he could fully live in it. Gideon did not immediately become steady in a single moment. He questioned. He hesitated. And he needed to be strengthened step by step. But I did not despise that trembling. I patiently led him out of the old identity of a fearful man, so he could learn to walk as one who had been sent. Do you see? I do not require you to feel strong before I call you. I call you, then remain with you until what I have spoken over you becomes greater than the voice of fear within you. In the same way, when I lead you away from old methods, your heart may feel unfamiliar. Before, you defended yourself and thought you were safe. Now that you stopped defending yourself, you feel fragile. But fragility in my hands is not danger. It is a doorway for you to learn to love more truthfully. Before, you tried to prove yourself and thought you were moving forward. Now that you stopped proving yourself, you fear being overlooked. But humility in me does not make you disappear. It makes you clearer. Before, you protected your image and thought you were respected. Now that you allow yourself to rest, you fear being called weak. But rest in me is not retreat. It is the sign that you no longer worship exhaustion as proof of your worth. When you live from your true identity, you do not withdraw from life, nor do you become distant, cold, and concerned only with protecting your peace. On the contrary, you will become more deeply present because you no longer live to defend yourself. You can listen to others without always preparing your reply, because you are no longer obsessed with being recognized. You can work with pure devotion, without letting the fear of failure hold a whip behind your back. Because you no longer need to preserve a perfect image, you can laugh more honestly, cry more honestly, rest more honestly, apologize more honestly, and love more honestly. You will no longer enter relationships like a starving person searching for validation, but like one who has been nourished in the Father's house and can give without losing yourself. That is not surrendering in defeat. It is the stability of one who knows where they belong. I want you to understand that this freedom does not come by cutting off every responsibility or avoiding every pain. The freedom I give is when you still live in the world, still work, still love, still face things that are not yet perfect, but are no longer defined by them. You can fail without concluding that you are a failure. You can be misunderstood without losing your peace. You can be praised without becoming intoxicated by praise. You can be rejected without seeing yourself as excluded from love. You can rest without feeling guilty, because you know I do not love you based on your productivity. You can walk slowly without panic, because you trust that the road I open does not require you to run on insecurity. My beloved child, what I have established with you is not a brief moment for you to remember and then leave behind like an old milestone. My covenant is not a signature lying still on a page, nor is it a promise only mentioned on the days when you feel moved. Covenant is the quiet stream of life flowing through every morning you wake up, every small decision you place before me, every time you choose what is right though no one is watching. It is not spoken only with the lips, but written out in the way you walk when your heart no longer feels inspired, in the way you continue to love when your heart has not yet become light again, in the way you keep integrity when you know you could take a shortcut and arrive faster. I am not looking in you for dazzling promises that quickly fade. I see quiet faithfulness, the kind that makes no noise but carries a lasting fragrance before me. There are days when you think you have done nothing great for me, because you are simply living an ordinary day, waking up on time, doing the work entrusted to you, guarding your heart from bitterness, refusing a dark thought, swallowing a word that could wound, choosing to pray though your heart feels dry, choosing to forgive though your emotions have not yet followed. But my child, it is in those very places that covenant is lived. Love does not always wear a crown and walk into the light. Many times, Love wears the simple garment of duty, stands in a familiar kitchen, passes through an old hallway, sits before a work desk, and quietly says to me, "I still believe." Every time you do not save yourself by the old way. Do not run back to the worn paths that once took you far from peace, and do not let fear lead the way. You are placing another stone into the foundation I am building within you. I know you are tired. I know there are mornings when you open your eyes and your heart is not yet ready to enter the day. I know there are nights when you lie down and the questions still refuse to quiet down. I know you have wished many times that everything were clearer, faster, easier to understand, and less painful. I do not see those desires as signs that your faith is weak. A child who grows tired does not stop being the Father's child. A heart that longs for something gentler is not rejected by me because of that. I simply do not want those longings to pull you back to the place from which I have brought you out. You may tell me you are tired, but do not let weariness persuade you to abandon what is true. You may tell me you do not yet understand, but do not let uncertainty make you return to the choices that once fractured you. What I invite you into is not the need to become strong according to the world's understanding. Always tough, always confident, always needing no one to support you. I am not telling you to strain yourself in order to prove that you are worthy of my love. I am simply inviting you to remain in the truth. Remain in the light. Remain in the rhythm of covenant. Sometimes remaining means being silent instead of responding. Sometimes remaining means walking slowly instead of rushing into what you have not been sent to. Sometimes remaining means forgiving little by little, not because the wound is unreal, but because you do not want it to rule the days ahead. Sometimes remaining means doing the small thing before you with a clean heart, even when you have not yet seen any great door open. Stay in what I have taught you, the rest I know how to complete. Remember Noah, the one who lived covenant not through a grand declaration, but through every quiet strike of the hammer in an age that did not understand what he was doing. Day after day, he built the ark on dry ground, hearing the sound of wood resound amid many bewildered eyes, perhaps even amid the laughter of those around him. He did not see rain on the first day. He did not have evidence every morning to prove to everyone that he was right. Yet he continued doing the work and trusted to him, because my word was enough for him to take one more step into another day. Do you see? Covenant does not live only when the waters rise and the ark begins to float. Covenant was already living in the dry days, when everything looked as though nothing was happening. But one person remained faithful to what I had placed in his hands. In the same way, there are things I am building within you before the rain of the new season comes. There are planks of patience, nails of obedience, measurements of humility, repeated days of trust. Others may not yet understand why you choose to live differently, why you no longer chase the old races, why you no longer respond as before, why you accept slowing down in order to keep integrity. But you do not need to turn your life into a defense before every gaze. What I am building is not always recognized immediately. When the time comes, that very work will speak on your behalf. When the waters rise, the ark will reveal that the quiet days were not useless. Then there will come a time when you see new things appear, not as a reward for tense endurance, but as the natural fruit of a foundation that has been set right. You will walk through new doors without trembling, like someone afraid of being exposed is not enough. You will receive greater responsibilities without using them to fill the emptiness inside. You will hear praise without being controlled by praise. Face opposition without letting it shatter your heart, and pass through success without forgetting to bow before me. For when the foundation is firm, what is placed upon it will no longer make you sway. When you know that you belong to me, you do not need a position to confirm your value. When you know I have called you by name, You do not need applause to believe that your life has meaning. The freedom I have for you is very different from what the world calls freedom. The world thinks freedom is being able to do everything one wants. To move quickly, to win, to stand high, and to be recognized by others. But freedom in me is no longer being controlled by those things. It is when you can work diligently without becoming a slave to achievement. It is when you can love deeply without losing yourself in dependence. It is when you can step into a crowded room without needing to compare your place with anyone else's. It is when you can walk slowly without fearing being left behind. Because you know my hand is never late. It is when you can rest without condemning yourself. Because you understand that covenant is not preserved by your exhaustion, but by my faithfulness. My beloved child, continue choosing truth in the small things. Continue forgiving when I lead you, even if your emotions need more time to be soothed. Continue keeping your heart upright when the shortcut appears convenient. Continue rising in faithfulness, not because you feel strong every day, but because I remain your strength on the days you are weak. Do not return to the places that once promised you safety, but left you empty. Do not let delay make you doubt the covenant. Do not let weariness make you forget that I am working, even when you have not yet seen the result. Every small choice you make in the light has value before me. And when you least expect it, you will realize that something within you has changed. You no longer rush to prove yourself. You no longer need to win every argument. You no longer see every closed door as a sentence of condemnation. You no longer use responsibility to build your identity. You walk more lightly, not because life no longer has challenges, but because you no longer carry it alone. My covenant has become the breath within your ordinary days, the steady ground beneath your steps, the gentle call that brings you back whenever you drift off course. I am with you in every faithful morning, every evening when you choose to forgive, every decision to choose truth, every time you place your hand in mine instead of saving yourself by your own strength. Remain, my beloved child. I will do my part, and what I build within you will stand firm through every season. My beloved child, I know there have been many times when you wished I would step into your life with a sign so great that no one could deny it. You longed for a voice from heaven, a door that opened powerfully, a miracle that would silence every doubt, an answer so clear that your heart would no longer have to feel its way through the shadows. You looked toward radiant events and thought that if I were truly near, surely I would do something that would make the whole world around you pay attention. But my child, I do not only want you to know that I am powerful, I want you to know that I am a near Father, the one who enters the smallest corners of your day, the one who touches you with a tenderness that no noise can replace. I can shake the mountains, but there are times when I choose to stir the curtain by the window, because what you need is not to be overwhelmed, but to be reminded that you are not alone. I do not always come as a king riding a war horse amid the sound of trumpets. Many times, I come as a father quietly standing beside your bed at night, pulling the blanket over you when you have fallen asleep in weariness, placing peace upon your forehead without you even knowing it. My love does not need a display in order to prove it is real. It only needs to be there, faithful, enduring, quietly sustaining you in every rhythm of life. You often search for me in great moments, but I have been with you in the small things you thought were accidental, a sudden deep breath when your heart was choked, a little remaining strength that helped you finish the last task of the day, a kind word that came from your lips even though you were depleted inside, a morning when you still got up after a long night in which you thought you no longer wanted to take another step. You call it habit, effort, or luck, but I call it grace lifting you from within. There are days when you do not cry, do not complain, do not tell anyone. but simply pass quietly through everything like a gentle shadow. You sit by the window watching the stream of cars pass by, seeing life still moving while your heart seems to stand still in an empty space. You are not exactly sad, nor truly happy. You simply feel yourself drifting in a quiet haze, where every sound becomes distant and every familiar thing seems to lose its color. But I see the very small question in your eyes. The question you have not spoken aloud because you fear that if you say it and receive no answer, it will hurt even more. You wonder whether I am still there, whether I still remember you, whether I still see you among so many people crying out. And I, instead of splitting the sky open, answer you in a softer way, a breeze that makes the air gentler, a ray of light falling through a patch of gray cloud, a passing fragrance from some kitchen nearby, a bird's song sounding just as your heart sinks. Those things may be so small that others do not notice them, but to you, in that moment, they become my hand resting gently on your shoulder. Do not despise gentle signs. My beloved child, not every act of rescue comes in the form of a great deliverance before a crowd. Sometimes I rescue you by keeping your heart from hardening after a day of being wounded. Sometimes I rescue you by giving you enough clarity to remain silent before a word that makes you want to answer back. Sometimes I rescue you through a brief encounter, a simple sentence, a song that happens to play, or a sky changing color in the afternoon, causing something within you to soften and remember that life is still beautiful. I do not need to be loud to prove that I am working. Many of my deepest works happen quietly, like roots drawing water in the soil, like dawn gradually entering through a crack in the door, like a seed breaking open in darkness before rising above the ground. Remember Elijah, the one who passed through days of weariness so deep that he thought he could not continue. He hid in the wilderness, his heart heavy as stone, thinking he was the only one left. I did not come to him only through fierce displays that human eyes easily call power. I let the great movements pass by, then met him in deep gentleness. And before giving him the direction for the next step, I cared for him through very ordinary things: sleep, food, and support sufficient for the new journey. Do you see? Sometimes what is holy does not begin with thunder, but with me letting you rest. Sometimes my answer is not a long explanation, but a little new strength so you can rise. Sometimes my presence does not make the earth tremble, but makes your heart stop trembling. Therefore, while you wait for me in great events, do not miss me in a cool cup of water, in a warm meal, in the gentle eyes of someone passing through your life. In the moment when you suddenly can breathe more easily, I am in those things not as a distant idea, but as the Father carefully tending every corner of your life. I know you need miracles, but I also know you need tenderness. I know you want answers, but I also know that first you need to be kept from falling apart. I know you want the path to be clearly lit, but sometimes I light only a small lamp, enough to show the next step, so you can learn to trust day by day. If I showed you everything at once, you might run after the map and forget to hold my hand. But when I lead you little by little, you learn that my nearness itself is the safest place. There are things you consider very ordinary, but before my eyes they are small vessels filled with grace. The fact that you can still smile at someone who needs comfort, even though your own heart also needs comfort. The fact that you still choose to do what is right, even when no one praises you. The fact that you still step into a new day, even though last night weariness covered your mind. The fact that you still do not abandon kindness, even though life has sometimes made you want to close yourself off. These things are not small. They are evidence that I am lifting you with my gentle strength. I am not only present in the moment when you are delivered from hardship, I am present in every minute you are kept from being swallowed by hardship. I am not only present on the day you see victory, I am present even on the days when you only have enough strength to exist, yet still exist in my arms. My beloved child, I want you to learn to see life with eyes watered by faith. When a light breeze calms your heart, recognize that it may be my greeting. When a ray of sunlight falls, just as you thought the day had only gray left, let it remind you that light still knows how to find a way. When a fragrance, a sound, a beautiful memory, or a brief conversation makes you pause and feel warmth inside, do not too quickly call it coincidence. I have many ways to say, I am still here, without needing to shake the sky. I have many ways to embrace you, without anyone else seeing. There are moments only you and I understand, and it is precisely their hiddenness that makes them precious. So do not be disappointed if today there is no thunderbolt, no blazing fire, no sign that makes everyone turn their head. Perhaps today I will come through a small piece in the middle of something repeated. Perhaps I will come through just enough courage for you to speak one truthful word. Perhaps I will come through a silence you are no longer afraid of. Perhaps I will come through the quiet strength that helps you complete what needs to be done. Then rest without blaming yourself. I am still the one who works wonders. But wonders do not always wear radiant clothing. Many times, they wear the clothing of an ordinary day. Move very gently. Sit beside you and wait for you to recognize them. So, live slowly enough to meet me in the small things. Let your heart stop demanding that I impress you before you believe I love you. Let your eyes become tender toward the simple graces scattered along the road. I am not far from you in ordinary days. Those ordinary days are often where I visit you most frequently. When you are tired, I am the little strength that remains. When you are choked with emotion, I am the gentle word that can still be spoken. When you want to let go, I am the morning that lifts you with a very thin yet very real ray of hope. When you sit by the window and do not know how to name what you feel inside, I am the warmth quietly placed upon your shoulder. You do not need to wait for storms to see me rescue you. I am already here. In every breath, every patch of light, every simple thing, silently loving you with a love that does not need noise, yet is strong enough to keep you to the end. Do not underestimate the small signs within you. When you no longer want to pray, do not scold yourself. Come to me with that very dryness. When you no longer feel joy toward the things that once made you grateful, do not hastily conclude that everything has been lost. Let me water again the place that has been covered by shade for too long. When you feel that you are merely existing, not truly living, do not hide that behind familiar phrases. Tell me that you are tired, that you are empty, that you do not know where to begin again. I do not need you to bring before me a strong version of yourself, decorated with a smile. I want you to come, honestly, softly, like a child who needs to be held. Healing often begins not with a great step, but with the moment you stop pretending that you do not need to be rescued. I am calling you out of a half-lit, half-dark way of living, half awake and half asleep, half present and half absent in heart. I want to awaken in you again the ability to be moved by grace, the ability to rejoice over simple things, the ability to feel pain over what needs healing, the ability to become still when the holy touches you. You were not created merely to drift through the days like someone walking down a long hallway without windows. I want to open windows within you, so new wind can enter, so light can touch the corners that have not been seen for a long time, so the dry places can begin to turn green again. A tree does not need to blame itself for withering. It needs to be brought into the light and watered. You are the same. Do not make dryness your name. Let it become the sign that reminds you to return to the source. And when you return, I will not ask you why you let yourself grow so tired in a scolding voice. I will receive you as the Father who knows you have tried for too long. I will teach you to live more slowly without fearing being left behind. I will show you how to work without losing peace, how to love without being depleted, how to serve while still being nourished, how to move through ordinary days and still see the holiness hidden in every moment. Then you will realize that life is not only rescued in great storms, but also restored in small mornings. When you choose to place me before the noise, in ordinary afternoons, when you allow your heart to rest in quiet nights, when you do not run from the emptiness, but let me fill it with love, my beloved child, return to the water source. I am still here, not loud, not distant, not weary of you. I am waiting to refresh every dry place within you, until your inner being knows how to blossom again beneath my light.